My name is Mark Goodwin, and my life is full of wonderful adventures. As a teenager, I travelled through much of Africa and Asia with different tribes. Some of them adopted me as if I was their long-lost son. After studying nuclear physics at Oxford, my first job was in the South Pacific, in the Gilbert and Ellice Islands. My task was to help them become independent, but these delightful people gave me the gift of what had been missing from my British upbringing. Then I decided to create a company called Booker Tate to provide assistance to agriculture in the tropics, particularly the Caribbean, Africa and Southeast Asia. Different organisations then asked me to help them create an inspired leadership culture, particularly organisations in Central Europe after the fall of the Berlin Wall with their liberation from the Soviet Union. I then decided to explore my own mind, studying with tribal shamans, indigenous shamans, and training as a group psychotherapist, working in 3 London hospitals. A theme which runs through my life is liberation, empowerment, and engagement. The greatest gifts have been given by those who were once vanquished, subdued, and subjugated, but now offer teaching from their indigenous wisdom. And now I've published my first book, Mannership, connecting aspects of my life to an inquiry as to how the human species became uniquely self-destructive. I hope you will enjoy this extraordinary selection of people I encountered on my journeys, together with magical stories illustrated by my photographs. One morning, speaking with Meredith Balbin, he asked a question: how can we explain that human society, despite our great intelligence, has apparently acted against its self-interest? The question intrigued me, and over the next few days wouldn't let go, like a giant octopus. I knew there had to be a source, just like there had to be a source of the Nile. I became focused on 3 questions. How does an individual mind become poisoned by a self-destructive tendency? How is the poison hidden and harboured in a part of the mind that we cannot reach to simply deal with it? And how did cultures develop to thrust the poison so deep into our children's minds? Suicide and self-harm are increasing dramatically. The rate of suicide has gone up by 60% globally in the last 45 years. Between 2012 and 2014, the statistics show that in Great Britain, the increase in self-harm was 70% amongst children as young as 10. But we mustn't fall into the trap of thinking that suicide and self-harm are rare and only affect a few of us. Today's Guardian says that 420,000 children a month are being treated by hospitals and others in the NHS for mental illness. The disease is far more prevalent than we imagined. The journey to find a source also led me to understand what might be necessary for a cure, and Indigenous society seems to be the only place that has an answer. I'm inspired by great explorers and wanderers like Lawrence of Arabia and Wilfrid Thesiger. I like their adventures, the closest to the people they lived with, and their philosophical reflection. But I love books about indigenous tribes full of spontaneity and spirit. These wonderful stories tickle me. I particularly like Arthur Grimble's book, A Pattern of Islands, which speaks of the lovely Gilbertese Islands where I began my career. And I chuckle when reading Lafferty's stories of the Choctaw Indians in Ocklahannock. Grimble, Thesiger and I have much in common. We share a deep loneliness from our childhood, which was restored by the beauty of native people. We were 3 young district officers who ignored the British colonial advice that for government prestige, British officials should keep aloof and not involve themselves socially with the people they administered. Instead, we served with the love we felt for these native peoples. Grimble concludes his first book with this lovely passage. It began to dawn on me then that, beyond the teeming romance that lies in the differences between men, the diversity of their homes, the multitude of their ways of life, the dividing strangeness of their faces and tongues, the thousandfold mysteries of their origins, there lies the still profounder romance of their kinship with each other, a kinship that springs from the immutable constancy of man's need to share laughter and friendship, poetry and love in common. A man may travel a long road and suffer much loneliness before he makes that discovery.